Hi, I'm Anais. The black dress I wore to my husband's funeral last week still hung in my closet, a reminder that life can change in an instant. I never imagined I'd be a widow at 34, much less that I'd be standing at my nephew's first birthday party 7 days after burying Michael. You made it! My sister Eliza rushed over, balancing her son Charlie on her hip. Her blonde hair was swept into a messy bun, so different from my dark curls. I wasn't sure if you would come. I promised I would, I replied, mustering a smile while adjusting the gift bag in my hands. Charlie only turns one once. Eliza's husband Derek approached, his tall frame casting a shadow. Anais, good to see you. How are you holding up? One day at a time, I said, the phrase now automatic. The house feels empty, but I'm managing. Let me take that. Derek grabbed the gift bag, his fingers brushing mine awkwardly. Drinks are in the kitchen. You should say hi to Mom and Dad. I nodded and made my way through the crowd, accepting hugs and condolences from relatives who didn't know what to say. My parents stood by the cake table, my father's arm around my mother's waist. There she is, Dad said, pulling me into a bear hug. My brave girl. Mom's eyes were watery as she embraced me. You didn't have to come, sweetie. Everyone would understand. I needed to be here, I insisted. I can't just sit at home forever. Have you eaten? Mom asked, already turning to fix me a plate. I'm not hungry, but thanks. My best friend Naomi appeared beside me, her red hair vibrant against her emerald dress. Hey, warrior woman, you're doing great. Am I? Because I feel like I'm acting in a play where everyone knows their lines except me. Naomi squeezed my hand. No one expects you to be okay right now. Just breathe. The party continued around us. Children laughing, adults chatting. I felt detached from it all until Eliza clinked a glass, gathering everyone for a toast. Thank you all for coming to celebrate Charlie's first year, she began, her voice carrying across the backyard. It means everything to have our family together, especially now. I smiled politely, but something in her expression made my stomach tighten. Before we cut the cake, Derek and I have an announcement. Eliza looked at her husband, then back at the crowd. We're expecting again. Charlie's going to be a big brother in January. Cheers erupted. January, 7 months from now. I did the mental math, the realization hitting me like a physical blow. Isn't it wonderful? My mother whispered, but I couldn't respond. Later, as guests began leaving, I cornered Eliza in the kitchen. January? You're 2 months along? Eliza nodded, avoiding my eyes. We weren't planning to announce it yet, but you were pregnant at Michael's funeral. The words hung between us. Anais, when did you find out? She set down a stack of plates. 3 weeks ago. 3 weeks? My voice rose. You knew while Michael was in hospice and you didn't tell me? You had enough to deal with. I didn't want to... To what? Make me feel worse by sharing your happiness? The bitterness in my voice surprised even me. Derek entered, tension immediately registering on his face. Everything okay in here? No, I said, turning to him. You both kept this from me while I was losing my husband. It wasn't like that, Eliza protested. We just thought that I couldn't handle it? I laughed, hollow and sharp. Or was there something else you didn't want me to know? Eliza's face drained of color. What are you talking about? In that moment, her reaction told me everything. The late-night calls Michael used to get, the tension between him and Derek in the months before his diagnosis, the way Eliza couldn't look me in the eye at the funeral. Anais, you're upset, and understandably so, Derek said carefully. But this isn't the time. When is the time, Derek? I asked, suddenly eerily calm. After you've had your baby? After I've moved on without knowing the truth? Eliza's eyes filled with tears. There's nothing to know. But I saw it then. The guilt, the fear, the secret they'd been keeping. And I knew my life was about to change again. The morning after Charlie's party, I sat at my kitchen table staring at a text from Naomi. Call me. We need to talk about what happened. Instead, I called my brother-in-law. Anais? Derek answered, surprise evident in his voice. Is everything okay? I need to see you, I said. Without Eliza. Can you meet me at Westview Park in an hour? A long pause. I'm not sure that's a good idea. 1 hour, Derek, or I call Eliza and tell her I know everything. You don't know anything, he snapped, then sighed. Fine, 1 hour. I arrived early, claiming a bench overlooking the duck pond where Michael and I used to feed the birds. The June sunshine felt wrong on my skin, too bright for the darkness I carried. Derek approached cautiously, dressed in running clothes as if to suggest he just happened to be passing by. He sat beside me, leaving ample space between us. What is this about, Aeneas? Michael's phone, I replied. I finally charged it last night. Interesting text history between you two. His posture stiffened. I don't know what you think you saw. I saw enough. You and Eliza were fighting last February. You thought the baby might not be yours. Derek's face paled. That's private. And Michael was comforting you through it, counseling you, telling you to trust her. I turned to face him. What happened after that, Derek? Nothing happened. Eliza and I worked things out. Did you? Because the texts stopped suddenly in March and you two barely spoke at family gatherings after that? He rubbed his face. It was complicated. Uncomplicated for me. Eliza had a connection with someone at work. Nothing physical, she swore. Emotional. I was paranoid, jealous. Michael tried to help. And then? Derek's jaw tightened. Then I accused him of taking her side too much, of caring too much about her feelings. You thought something was happening between my husband and your wife. I was in a bad place, he admitted. I said things I shouldn't have. Michael stopped talking to me after that. I laughed bitterly. And then he got sick. Aeneas! No. I held up my hand. I watched my husband die thinking his family was intact. That at least I had that. And now I find out you accused him of, what? Having an affair with my sister? While he was counseling you through your marriage problems? It wasn't like that. Derek insisted. I apologized later. We made peace before he passed. Did you? Because he never mentioned it. He wouldn't. That was Michael, protecting everyone, even me. I stood, anger churning in my stomach. Does Eliza know you suspected her and Michael? Derek's silence was answer enough. My God, I whispered. She doesn't know. Don't tell her, he pleaded. It would destroy her, especially now. Like I'm not destroyed? I asked. Like finding this out after burying him hasn't shattered everything I thought I knew? Michael loved you. Only you. I was wrong, Aeneas. Dead wrong. Naomi's car pulled up to the curb, and I realized she'd been tracking my phone. She approached cautiously. Everything okay? She asked, eyeing Derek suspiciously. No, I replied. Derek was just explaining how he accused my dying husband of sleeping with my sister. Naomi's eyes widened. What? It wasn't like that, Derek repeated desperately. Please, Aeneas, for Eliza's sake. For Eliza's sake? I echoed. What about for Michael's sake? What about for my sake? You're grieving, Derek said. Don't make decisions you'll regret. The only thing I regret, I said coldly, is not knowing who my family really was while Michael was alive. As Derek walked away, Naomi took his place on the bench. Want to tell me what that was about? She asked. Not really, I replied, watching the ducks glide across the water. But I need to talk to my sister. Eliza opened her front door with Charlie on her hip, her smile fading when she saw my expression. Aeneas, what's wrong? We need to talk, I said, stepping inside without waiting for an invitation. Let me put Charlie down for his nap first, she said, disappearing upstairs. I wandered into their living room, studying the family photos on the mantel. Michael appeared in several, at their wedding holding newborn Charlie, at last Christmas dinner, always smiling, always the peacemaker, always keeping secrets. Eliza returned, anxiety evident in how she twisted her wedding ring. What's this about? If it's about yesterday? It's about Derek, I interrupted. And the accusations he made against you and Michael last year? Her brow furrowed, What accusations? He never told you. I laughed humorlessly. Of course he didn't. Told me what, Aeneas? You're scaring me. I sat on the edge of the sofa. Derek thought you and Michael were having an affair. Eliza's mouth fell open. What? That's insane. Is it? You two were always close, always whispering, always having private conversations. He was my brother-in-law, my friend. Tears sprang to her eyes. How could Derek think that? How could you think that? I don't know what to think anymore, I admitted. Michael kept it from me. You kept your pregnancy from me. Everyone's keeping secrets. Not like that, Eliza exclaimed. Never like that. Michael loved you completely. Then why hide Derek's accusations? Why the sudden distance between them? Eliza sank into an armchair. Derek never said a word about this to me. Never. Well, he admitted it to me this morning. This morning? Her eyes narrowed. You met with my husband without telling me? Like you kept your pregnancy from me while my husband was dying? The front door opened and Derek walked in, freezing when he saw us. Eliza, I can explain. Explain what? She demanded, standing. That you accused me of cheating with Michael? That you kept this from me for over a year? I was wrong, Derek said, his voice breaking. I knew it as soon as I said it. Michael forgave me. We moved past it. Did you? I asked. Because he never mentioned reconciling with you. We talked at the hospital, Derek insisted. The night before the end. I apologized. He said he understood. A memory surfaced. Michael asking for privacy with Derek, the strange atmosphere when I returned to the room, Michael's cryptic words afterward. Family is complicated, but worth fighting for. Even dying, he protected your secret, I whispered. He protected all of us, Derek corrected. He knew what mattered most. Eliza was crying now. I can't believe you thought I would ever, that Michael would ever. I was insecure, Derek admitted. You were distant, working late. I jumped to the worst conclusion. Because of Ben from accounting? She asked incredulously. We were friends, Derek. Just friends. I told you that. I watched them, feeling like an intruder in their marriage, yet unable to leave without understanding. Michael counseled you both? I asked finally. Eliza nodded. Separately. He helped me see how my friendship with Ben looked to Derek, how I needed to be more transparent. She glared at her husband. Apparently, he told you to trust me and you repaid him with accusations. Which I regretted immediately, Derek insisted. Michael knew that. But he carried it alone, I said quietly. Through his diagnosis, through chemo, through hospice, he never told me. Because he loved you too much to burden you, Eliza said, and because he forgave Derek. I stood abruptly. I need to go. Aeneas, wait. Eliza reached for me. I can't do this right now, I said, backing away. I need to think. As I drove home, Michael's voice echoed in my head. Some truths hurt more than they heal, Aeneas. Sometimes loving someone means carrying certain burdens alone. I wondered what other burdens he had carried, what other truths he had shielded me from, and I wondered if I would ever feel whole again without him. A week after confronting Eliza and Derek, my doorbell rang. Eliza stood on my porch alone, holding a small box. Can I come in? She asked tentatively. I stepped aside silently, leading her to the kitchen where I'd been washing dishes. I brought you something, she said, placing the box on the counter. I'm not really in the gift-receiving mood, Eliza. It's not from me, she said softly. It's from Michael. My hands stilled in the soapy water. What? He gave it to me 2 days before he passed. Said to wait a month, but after everything, I thought you should have it now. Inside was a sealed envelope and a voice recorder, my name written in Michael's handwriting. Did you know what's in this? I asked. Eliza shook her head. He just said it would help you understand when the time was right. My hands trembled as I broke the seal. My dearest Anais, if you're reading this, it means I've been gone for a while. Yes, Derek accused me and Eliza of inappropriate feelings. No, there was never anything between us other than family love. I forgave him, Aeneas, truly. On my last night, we made peace. He loves Eliza just as I love you, completely, if imperfectly. I kept this from you to spare you pain during an already impossible time. The recorder contains conversations with Dr. Winters that might help you understand my thinking better. Whatever you choose, forgiveness, distance, something in between, know that my last wish is for you to find joy again. Not right away, not forced, but eventually. I love you, always, Michael. He knew, I whispered. He knew I'd find out eventually. That was Michael, always 3 steps ahead of everyone else. Why didn't you tell me about the pregnancy? I asked, the question that had started it all. I found out the day he went into hospice. It felt wrong to talk about new life while he was leaving us. She reached for my hand. I'm sorry, Aeneas. I should have told you privately first. I didn't pull away. I thought you were keeping secrets because there was something worse. The only secret was the baby, and poor timing. What happens now? Eliza finally asked. I looked at Michael's letter. Now I listen, I think. I decide what kind of life I want without him. Will that life include us? Her voice was small. I don't know yet, I answered honestly. But Michael forgave Derek. He wouldn't want his death to break us apart. After she left, I called Naomi, who arrived an hour later. We sat on my back porch, watching fireflies emerge in the twilight. So Michael left you closure, Naomi said after I explained everything. In his way. Always thinking of others, even at the end. What will you do about Eliza and Derek? I considered this, watching a firefly blink. Rebuild, I think. Slowly, with boundaries, with honesty. And yourself? What will you do about Aeneas? The question caught me off guard. Exist? Survive? And then? She pressed. I thought about Michael's wish for me to find joy again. I'll try to live in a way that would make him proud, one day at a time. As darkness fell, I imagined Michael sitting beside us. I could almost hear his voice. The hardest part of loving someone is letting them carry their own pain. The bravest part is choosing to love anyway. For the first time since his death, I felt a tiny spark of hope that someday the weight of grief might lighten enough for me to find my way forward. Do you think it's possible to forgive someone for hurting you, even if they meant well? I asked. I think that's what healing looks like, Naomi replied. Not forgetting, but understanding. Not excusing, but accepting. I nodded, watching the stars emerge. Then that's where I'll begin.